Welcome to the Dad Bod. Today's video is about buying a suit the right way, whether you're looking for an affordable starter suit or one that's going to last you for years to come. I wasn't taught how to buy a suit when I was a kid. I had to figure it out for myself by seeing how different aspects of a suit work to make other people look sharp, and then seeing what looks tacky and just wrong in others wearing a suit, trying on suit after suit in lots of shops, studying blogs, vlogs, articles, and books, talking with different tailors. It's taken me a long time to get the knowledge that I now have, and folks, my goal today is to give you that knowledge that you need to go out there and buy a suit, but not just any old suit. One that's going to fit your budget, meet your needs, and make you look like $1 million. The steps that I focus on when I'm considering buying a suit are the color, the fit, the fabric, and the features, and in that order. If you're having a suit made for you, then you can basically pick out any color you want, so the color is easy. But many of you might not have it in your budget for a made-to-measure or a bespoke suit, so you need to make sure that your suit color is going to match what you need the suit for. Then we'll move into the fit, and if you're tall or heavier, you might have a little bit of a harder time finding suits that come to your size, and if you're shorter or skinnier, you may have issues tailoring a suit down to your size. Again, made to measure and bespoke suits won't have that problem, but if you're looking for an off-the-rack suit, there are some companies that only make clothing up to a certain size. Abercrombie & Fitch said that they don't want overweight people wearing their clothes, so they stopped making them at a certain size. Many suit manufacturers do the same, which is why fit is second. Then we'll go on to the fabric. Once you know the color of the suit that you need and you find one that fits you, you need to look at the fabric. Is it going to be a good quality fabric? Is it sewn together properly? Does it breathe? And then lastly, the features, such as is it fused or canvased? Is it lined or unlined? And what kind of sleeve buttons and how many buttons? To save time, we're going to focus on the suit itself, and we're going to leave the accessories such as watches, ties, cufflinks, shirts, shoes for another video. But I will give you a sneak preview. If you're looking for nice watches, I recommend checking out Watch Gang. This video isn't sponsored by them or anybody else, but I've spent much of the last year comparing and reviewing watches from all different monthly subscription watch companies, and I can honestly say that out of all of them out there right now, Watch Gang is by far the best. I've got a link in the description to give you 50 free points which you can use towards their wheel of watches to win a watch. Every spin will win you a watch. Depending on where the wheel lands, could get you an even nicer and a more expensive watches, including the Grail watches such as an Omega, a Rolex, a Tag, or a Grand Seiko. With other watch subscriptions, I mostly got watches with a retail value of equal to and sometimes even less than the cost of the subscription, watches that couldn't keep time, watches that felt like they came out of a grocery store vending machine, watches made from companies that don't even exist. With Watch Gang, I've received nice quality, good-looking watches that oftentimes have a retail value at 3, 4, 5 times more than I paid for the monthly subscription. So check out the link in the description to see if it's right for you. Okay, we're going to start with the color of the suit. Now, when I first started a job that required me to dress nicer, I didn't have that many suits. At that time, I had 2, so I needed to make sure that I could switch between them and not draw attention to the fact that there were only 2 suits. Many of you may be getting a suit for a specific event, such as a wedding or a job interview. You need to make sure that you know what you need the suit for, so you can make sure that you're going to get the color that you need. Black is usually what I hear people saying that they need for their first suit, but the thing is, black stands out. It's a more formal of a color. It's a more bold color. I would suggest that you go for more of a charcoal or a navy for your first suits. If you're younger, go with charcoal. It helps to make you look a little bit more mature. And if you're a little bit older, go with navy because it works to make you look younger. Look at this. I look like I'm 18. Black would probably be better off as more of your second, third, or even your fourth suit. I would recommend also going with a plain color. Avoid patterns and textures that stand out. Yeah, they look nice, but if you wear a plain navy suit 3 days in a 5-day work week, people generally aren't going to notice, as long as you change your shirt color. If you wear a textured navy suit, such as houndstooth or bird's eye, it's going to stand out. It looks nice, but it's less versatile. And then you have your browns, your blues, your tans. These are going to be more casual colors, probably best not to wear to a wedding or a job interview. Now that you've decided on the color of the suit that you're going to get and you found one that you want to try on, we're going to need to make sure that it fits right. The bulk of this video is going to be spent here in fit. So you're going to start with the shoulders, always the shoulders. If you have a good tailor and they really know what they're doing, they can adjust the shoulders of a suit for you. but it's gonna cost you maybe even $200-300 or more. You're much better off finding one that fits you in the shoulders right off the bat. You know, the shoulder bone right here, you wanna make sure that that lines up as close as you can with the shoulder seam of the suit. If it's too small, you're gonna have issues moving in the suit. It's gonna look like a teenager going through a growth spurt, and it's gonna ruin the fabric. And if it's too large, it's gonna look like a kid wearing his dad's clothes. After that, you wanna focus on the torso, right here around the front button. You wanna make sure that you have room enough to breathe and expand after eating. I love eating. But you don't want enough room that you can actually fit your whole fist between your belly and this button right here. A flat hand is where, is about where you want to be at. If it's too tight, you're going to end up getting this pulling in the suit, which is going to make an X shape. And then if it's too loose, you're going to look like a hip hop singer out of the 80s. A tailor can usually slim it down. If it's too big, they can slim it down, but only about an inch or two. Any more than that, and you're going to be throwing off the symmetry and the proportions that the suit is made to look flattering. Most people say and assume that you can get a suit let out if it's too tight, but nowadays companies don't really give you any extra fabric to let a suit out. The less expensive the suit is, the more the manufacturers are going to try to pinch pennies. And on a suit that costs less than $500, you're probably not going to have any extra fabric to let a suit out, which means you're going to need to go up a size and then have a tailor take it in for you to the best that they can. Or you might need to check out something like made-to-measure suits where they will make the suit to your specific body measurements, which we're going to discuss made-to-measure later on in this video. Next, you want to make sure that the jacket is the correct length. It should go about to the bottom of your butt. It may be hard to see, so another thing that you can look at is your thumb knuckle. With your arms down by your side, that knuckle should be about where you want the bottom of your jacket to be. Off-the-rack suits usually come with both a number and a length, such as 48, which would be your chest size, and then long. You can find them in short, regular, long, or extra long. Not all suit manufacturers size their suits the same, but a general guide is if you're under 5'8", you're probably going to be better off with a short. And if you're between 5'9" and 6 foot tall, a regular. 6 to 6'4" is usually best with a long, and then 6'4" and above is usually best with an extra long. Now, me being 6'3", I usually go for a long, but I do have long arms, so there are brands where I need to go up to the extra long. Which brings us to sleeves. When you're going suit shopping, you don't want to go in a t-shirt. You want to try on a suit while you're wearing a proper fitting dress shirt. One mistake that people often make is when they're trying on the suit, they're going to lift their arms forward. Now, you do see me do that in some of my suit review videos, but I'm not checking for the sleeve length. I'm checking for movability within the suit. When checking the sleeve length, you want to keep your arms down by your side. The end of the sleeve should go to your wrist bone. Now, not this bone right here at the base of your palm, the one slightly down farther that sticks out on the back. That's where you want the end of your suit sleeve to go. Sleeves can be adjusted if needed. You can usually adjust them 1 inch to 1.5 inches in either direction, unless you have functioning buttons. Functioning buttons aren't that common in off-the-rack suits. You'll find them more often in higher quality suits or in made-to-measure and bespoke suits. You really can't tailor the sleeves that much on suits with functioning button sleeves that much. Maybe a 1/4 to 1/2 inch at most. You might be able to find a tailor who's able to, but you're going to run the risk of messing up your sleeves or paying an arm and a leg, or both. On jackets with non-functioning button sleeves, I would advise usually against lengthening the sleeves if you don't absolutely have to. One issue that I've seen time and time again on suits with non-functioning buttonholes is that lengthening them often causes permanent creases where the end used to be. This one has it right here, about 1 inch in. You can still see the crease from where the end of the sleeve used to be, and I've had this one for almost a year. On higher quality fabrics, it can't be seen as well, but on the more affordable fabrics, it might be quite difficult, if not impossible, to remove the crease altogether, especially with synthetic fabrics such as polyester. So my recommendation is to go up in the length, try a long or an extra long, and then shorten the sleeves if needed. Just make sure it doesn't make the jacket too long on you. Some common issues that people may have is if you're a very muscular person, you may struggle to find a suit that properly fits you in the biceps. Now, I'm sure your biceps are amazing, but you want to make sure that there's a little bit of room there. You don't want this so tight that you're going to stretch out the fabric and rip the seams. That's a quick way to ruin a suit. Another area that muscular people might struggle with is between the collar and the shoulders. If you have large traps, this may cause the shoulders to ripple. Now, a good tailor should be able to adjust that for you easily. If you slouch or you stand up tall, prior military people, I'm talking to you, pay attention to the pitch of the arms. See how there's a slight difference in how my arm sits when I go from a semi-slouch to standing upright? The sleeves are meant to pitch a certain way, and if you slouch or stand shoulders back and upright, you might need to have to get the pitch on the sleeves adjusted for some suits. Now we're going to move into the trousers. Suits can be bought in one of two ways. Suit separates, which is where you pick out the jacket and then you pick out the trousers, which is becoming more common. And then another way that you can buy them is where you buy the suit jacket and the suit trousers as a set, which means you don't get the option to pick out the waist size that you need for the trousers. When buying a suit as a set, you need to pay attention to the waist. You can usually bring it in around 2 to 4 inches, but any more than that and you're going to throw off the proportions of it. The pockets won't be where they should be, the way that it sits on your body won't look right. With suits as a set, the trousers are usually made with the same roll of fabric as the jacket and at the same spot. What they'll do is they'll take a section of fabric and they'll take what they need to make the trousers, the jacket, and if you're getting a 3-piece, the vest. This is going to give you a near perfect match in the color and the shade of the fabric on every piece of your suit. Sometimes with suit separates, it's the same color fabric, but because there's so much distance between the area that they took to make the jacket and the area that they took to make the trousers, that there's a slight difference in the shading of the fabric. It's the same color, just a slightly different shade. It's not that common, but do hold the trousers up to the jacket to ensure that they look like the same shade and the same color. For the trousers, you need to make sure that they are the proper length. There's a few options for this based on your own personal preference. You have no break, half break, quarter break, and full break. Whichever one you prefer, go with that. Just make sure that the trousers aren't too long or not too short. If you need to get this adjusted, it's a common task for tailors to do. They can usually do it in a day or two. It's very inexpensive, probably only going to cost about 15 to 20 bucks at most places. Me personally, I like the quarter break to half break. Also pay attention to the buttocks area of your trousers. You don't want it to look like you're swimming in these. You also don't want to have to worry about them ripping if you bend over to pick something up. A tailor can usually take in the pants for you a little bit to slim them up. They usually can't let them out to give you more room. Again, same issue with not enough fabric. If you're looking for an affordable suit, check out this playlist here. There's also going to be a link to it in the video description where I try out affordable suits from companies such as Men's Warehouse, Joss Bank, Belk, JCPenney, Amazon, and more to try to find out which suits are decent for the price and which ones are best left avoided. For the fabric, I'm going to mention it again. It's best to go with a plain fabric texture. Avoid things like bird's eye, houndstooth, herringbone in your first few suits. Also, this is where you're going to want to look at the fabric to see what it's made out of. 100% wool is great. The higher the S or the super wool rating, the better the quality. They tend to range from about the 100s to 180, with the 100 to 110 being good quality, 120 to 130 being great quality, and then 140 and up being more of a luxurious quality and usually for special occasions. Linen, cashmere, seersucker, these are also great fabrics. Nylon and polyester are signs of a cheaper suit that's likely going to be warm, it's going to be less comfortable, and it's not going to last as long. They do also make the suit unnaturally shiny, so this is again more common in your more affordable suits. For the lining, polyester linings are again common in more affordable suits. They tend to not breathe that well and they're warm. Your cotton, your Bamberg, viscose, and even silk linings, they're going to be more comfortable throughout the day, but they tend to cost a little bit more. Here's where you're going to want to look at the stitching quality. Give it a little tug on the inside of the shoulders and on the jacket outside pockets. These are where you're going to be able to get a better idea if the overall suit stitching is decent or if it's going to start falling apart after wearing it a few times. And then we have the features. I mentioned this part last because some of these are more of a preference as opposed to a necessity. Most jackets are either going to have 2 or 3 buttons. The 2 buttons are going to be the most common, and for your first few suits, I absolutely recommend this because it doesn't stand out as much. It gives you a lower V shape, which is very flattering. It gives a slimming effect, and then for these, you're always going to button the top button, never the bottom. A 3-button suit jacket used to be more common, not as much lately. Nowadays, it's often worn by, taller people. And when I say tall, I mean like over 6'4". I mean tall for me, because it works to visually shrink your torso with a shorter V. With this, you never button the bottom, always button the middle, and then the top button, it's your choice whether you want to or not. There is a one-button jacket. It's usually found more often in the trendy scene. It's not something that you're going to see as often as the 2 or 3 buttons. And that is, of course, with the single-breasted. You also have double-breasted jackets, which is where you have 2 rows of buttons. I would recommend avoiding this if it's one of your first few suits because it's a little bit more formal, it looks nicer, and it's absolutely something that's going to be recognizable. For the lapels, you have notch lapels, peak lapels, and then shoal lapels. I would avoid the shoals. That's mostly going to be seen in tuxedos. And then if you're getting a made-to-measure or bespoke suit, you can choose the shoals. Again, you're better off just avoiding that and going with either the notched or the peak lapels. For your first few suits, I recommend the notch lapel like this one right here. It's the most common type. Peak lapels, they look amazing, but they stand out, which is why they may be better once you have a few other suits in your closet. They're more seen in custom suits, designer suits, and higher end suits. Most off-the-rack suits have a standard width notch lapel. Now, if you're having a suit made for you, either bespoke or made to measure, you can choose your lapel size and type. If you're slimmer, the standard or the slim lapels will work best for you. The wider lapels are gonna end up looking like the suit's too big for you. And on the flip side, if you're a larger guy, slim lapels are gonna make it look wider, so standard or wide lapels are gonna work best for you. Me personally, I like wide peak lapels because I'm a bigger guy and it helps me look slimmer. Sleeves can have either functioning buttonholes, also known as surgical buttonholes, or they can have fake ones. Most off-the-rack affordable suits have fake buttonholes. This suit has fake buttonholes. You'll see them with 3, 4 buttons usually, sometimes 5. The number of buttons doesn't matter. If you see buttons that are made out of brass, gold, horn, or other materials in colors that are really going to stand out, avoid them for your first few suits. Again, we want a nice looking suit that's versatile and can be worn more often until you get a few other suits in your collection to change through. The majority of suits are going to have an inner lining, which is going to help protect the outer fabric. It helps it breathe, it reduces friction with your shirt. Some suits are going to have a half lining and some will have a full lining. It's more of a personal preference. The cheaper synthetic linings are not going to feel as nice while wearing it. It's not going to last as long, and it's going to be warmer throughout the day. The nicer fabrics are going to allow your body to regulate temperature better, and they're going to last longer. Fused suits are going to have the lining sewn and or glued to the outer fabric. Nothing in between. Your higher end suits are going to have a canvas in between the lining and the outer fabric. It's typically a sign that the suit's going to last longer, it's going to sit nicer on your body, and it's actually going to fit better over time as the lining conforms to your body. Canvas suits tend to cost about $100 to $200 more than fused suits. They also are a little bit harder to find in most common off-the-rack places to buy suits. The only place that I've seen that's had one so far is Joss Bank, which I'll put a link to that video review right there. Now, if you look on the back of your suit jacket, you're going to see that it usually has vents, either a center vent in the back or 2 vents, one on each back side. The double vent is more flattering, it allows your suit to breathe better, and it just looks better overall. The single vent is usually found more often in affordable suits. It's less expensive to make. It's also a little bit less flattering, especially if you put your hand in your pocket or if you lean forward for any reason. There's also no vent jackets, but these are more designer suit jackets. They're really not that common. There are 3 ways that most people buy suits. You have your off-the-rack, which is where you purchase a pre-made suit either online or from a store, and with this you should expect to have to take it to a tailor. I've had some where I only had to spend $30 or $40 on adjustments, and others required $100 worth of adjustments. And it's important to take it to a tailor to make sure that the suit is adjusted for your body. It's going to be more flattering, it's going to look nicer, and it's going to feel more comfortable. Another way that suits are made is bespoke. Now this is where you go into the shop, they measure you up, and they make the suit in stages. This often requires you to come in for multiple fittings to make sure that the fit is right. And this is costly. We're talking $2,000, $5,000, even $10,000 for a suit. But then there's the middle ground called made to measure. They use your body measurements to cut the fabric, and then they make the suit based on your body measurements. And you can find these for usually around $500 to $1,000. Now I love this option because it doesn't cost as much as bespoke, and you're still going to get a suit that's going to fit you perfectly. Up here you're going to find a link to a playlist with my affordable suit reviews, and then down here you're going to see another playlist which is my made to measure suit company reviews. With what you've learned from this video and these reviews, you should be able to easily find a suit that's going to fit your budget, meet your needs, and make you look like $1,000,000, and I'll see you there.